Hello and welcome to another episode of Blackboard Rants. I'm Tyler.
And I'm John.
And today I'm going to admit it was kind of a slow news week for us, and so we got some stuff that we just want to talk about. But first and foremost, and most importantly, hot sauce shots. John, what do we got?
This is my favorite here. This is Valentina's hot sauce. This is the extra hot variety.
Extra.
I love it. It's got a great Mexican taste. You put it with any food and it instantly tastes like Mexican food. You can really taste the peppers and you can really just indulge in the flavors.
And it has that great salty taste to it too.
And I won't lie, this week I've been having a little bit of stomach problems, so we're having some milk with this.
Yeah.
I'm going to try not to drink milk afterwards, but I'm going to take a drink now to kind of get my stomach ready. All right. Here we go, getting into the hot stuff.
Oh.
Can instantly feel it when it touches your lips.
Oh,
That it's
yeah.
hot.
Oh yeah. Ooh.
Look at my mustache.
Ooh.
Gonna be tasting that for a while.
Wow. Man. Ooh.
Has, like I said, a great pepper flavor to it.
Oh yeah.
And nice and smooth. It's thicker than some of the other sauces we've
It
had.
is.
And get a little bit of that vinegar flavor, but not as much as the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely nice and warm. You can feel that going through your system there.
Oh yeah. I can feel it.
You're going to be able to handle it?
I think so. Okay, so as you can probably tell, we got some new cups here. I got an Avengers cup here. And since speaking of Avengers, me and you just watched the new trailers that were being premiered along with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I believe.
Well, I'm not sure when this last one premiered. It was, it's been up on the internet for a little more than a day now, I think.
Okay. And so what are your thoughts on it so far?
They gave us some really good looks at some of the characters that we haven't gotten, a little bit more Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, and what their relationship is going to be, that where they start off as bad guys and then turn good. One other interesting thing I heard, sorry, this is just bugging me, it's up in there. I heard this week that there are going to be even more comic Marvel characters in Age of Ultron than we know already.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly who they're going to be. I guess it's going to be leading up to building a bigger world for when they finally get to Civil War,
Okay.
which is going to start shooting really soon. So, yeah, give us a nice look at, apparently there's human enemies as well as Ultron. We've seen this before, too, where they're in the woods fighting humans. And you get to see more of Ultron and, Avengers Tower, and Tony talking about how he's just the guy that pays for everything. He's not in charge.
Right. You know what though too?
Oh, is that really getting to you?
It's just in the back of my throat, man. I just can't get rid of it. But with you saying that there's gonna be more Marvel superheroes in here, I'm just worried right when you said that it's gonna be too overstocked, too overloaded on heroes. Do you think that this is gonna be affecting the pace of the story?
No, because I'm guessing what it's going to be is more like most people won't like this example, but in X3, where they had, the meeting with all the mutants, and you just got to see other mutants that you hadn't seen before, and none of them have any lines. It might be
Right.
something like that, where you just see a
Okay.
character, and they're not necessarily introduced as a character, but they're there
Right.
to be set up for later events.
And so now a lot of people aren't going to know who Quicksilver or Scarlet Witch is, or who they are, like I do. Can you explain quickly on who these two characters are?
In the comic books, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are the children of Magneto,
Okay.
enemy of the X-Men. But since Sony owns Magneto, it looked like they were some kind of experiment now by by Hydra.
Hydra, yep.
At the end of Captain America.
Yes.
Winter Soldier. Apparently they're still brother and sister because they're called twins. And Scarlet Witch has magical mind control powers and stuff like that, and Quicksilver is a speedster. You know, he runs really fast. All which we already saw in X-Men Days of Future Past. You know, they had their own version of Quicksilver.
Yep.
And their Scarlet Witch was a baby.
Right.
So.
Okay, so now that we were talking about superheroes, let's get into our favorite alternate superheroes. Different alternate stories.
Or just alternate versions, you know, somebody else portraying the character.
Right. And my favorite alternate story is the Planet Hulk. And now you and I were talking about it, that the Illuminati somehow tripped.
Not the real world Illuminati. The Illuminati in the Marvel universe.
Yes.
Just a bunch of other superheroes got together and kicked him off.
Yeah, they tricked Hulk into a spaceship and then sent him to a different planet to where they viewed him as as a hero. And
well, he rose through the ranks as a gladiator.
Yep, he rose through the ranks.
We'll just leave that story at that, I think, without spoiling it too much.
Right.
Saying Hulk goes to another planet and becomes a gladiator. Who doesn't want to see that story?
I know, right?
Full stop right there. Everybody's in.
All right, so what's yours, man?
Oh, my favorite has been and always will be after Bruce Wayne gets his back broken by Bane, which is in that horrible Nolan movie.
Not in the Tim Burton movie. I like the Nolan. I don't know if I like this so much. But
in the comics, when he gets his back broken, Bruce Wayne goes on a journey to try and find himself and find a cure.
Is he in a wheelchair?
Yes, he is.
I'm going through the desert.
A lot of the issues, he is in a wheelchair. Eventually, he gets to a cane, and then he gets back. But while he's gone, it's a guy that he met named Jean-Paul Valley who takes over for him. And he'd met Jean-Paul Valley, who was working as an assassin named Azrael. And him and Batman fought, and then ended up, he came to work with Batman as an assistant. And so then, when this all happens, he takes over. And Dick Grayson's kind of pissed off, like, why wasn't I chosen to be the new Batman, you know?
And this is how he becomes a Nightwing type of thing?
Well, he was Nightwing already, because they were already on the third Robin by this point, I think.
Okay.
And so, you have him out there, Jean-Paul Valley, and like I said, he was trained as an assassin, but the way that they trained him as an assassin was to make him think that there was this god that talked to him, and his dead father talked to him, and so this manifestation of this god and this his father ended up driving him insane.
Oh, wow.
And he started adding more parts to the bat suit, upgrading the tech so that he can be more brutal.
Right.
He eventually ends up killing some of the villains.
Holy crap.
And while this is all going on, Batman, Bruce Wayne, is out there getting healed, and he hears about it, and he has to come back, and he has to fight Jean-Paul Valley to win back being Batman, because Jean-Paul's not going to give it up. And it's just great. He comes there, and he can only beat him by outwitting him, because Jean-Paul's in better shape, because, you know, or Bruce Wayne's just healing. Plus, he's got this upgraded suit with guns and all kinds of stuff. So that was one of my favorite arcs, just to watch a Batman, not the Batman, a Batman go a little too far.
Right.
And see what the consequences of that is. And I guess one of my other favorites is the same thing with Spider-Man when he had the black suit, where it started to change him, and he started to become more and more corrupted by it, and leading towards the dark side.
Now, we're not talking about the third Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. That was just a totally missed opportunity. He wasn't dancing around, prancing around in a fucking jazz club, you know, whatever. Yeah. I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, in the comics and in the 90s cartoon,
it
gave him some serious emotional trauma to be wearing that black suit and start turning more and more like the people he was trying to fight.
And the suit was like slowly taking him over to where he could have been like sleeping in his bed, so all of a sudden he wakes up and all of a sudden he's standing on the side of a building.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
And then going with that I like black suits,
Right.
After Superman was killed, he came back wearing a black suit with. It was all black except he had silver toes because they were little jet boots.
Okay.
Because he didn't have any of his powers yet, and then his crest was a silver. The S was silver, so it was all black except for the toes and his chest. And then it was the '90s, and he had a mullet.
He had a mullet. So, now getting back to the Jean-Paul Valley Batman. If somebody wants to read that, what story arc or what's the name of the story if they want to go and read it?
Oh, that's from the Nightfall, Night Quest, and Night's End series.
Okay.
In Batman, they have different versions of the Nightfall as a book.
Okay.
And some of the versions have more of the Jean-Paul stuff in. Some of them have more of the Bruce Wayne stuff in. They also did a novel adaptation,
really,
which has a lot of good stuff in it.
And what was the name of this novel? I'm sorry, everybody. I'm really getting into this now. What's the name of the novel?
It's called Nightfall.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And that was adapted. Different. That was adapted by Denny O'Neil, who's a bigwig over there at DC, and has written a lot of this stuff.
Awesome.
I have the book, but I just borrowed it to my niece, so you might have to wait to borrow it.
No, I think I'll just go on eBay and find it.
And that book, actually, I had it in high school,
mm-hmm.
and my mom accidentally sold it at a book fair.
Oh, man.
And then years later, I found another copy and started reading it again in the exact spot where I left off.
So it's called Nightfall by
Denny O'Neil.
Danny O'Neil, okay.
Denny.
It
might
the
say,
restaurant, Denny?
Yeah,
Dennis?
But it might say Dennis.
Okay.
Because sometimes it's Dennis O'Neil, Denny O'Neil.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so since we're talking about our favorite stuff here, this is our open moment.
Oh, and it's the NCAA bracket sportsology.
Final Four, Top Four.
Sweet 16.
Some like that.
Basketball G.
Yeah. And so we're going to get into our top 3 sports movies. And so I'll name off mine right away. Number 1, Major League. The reason why I got into baseball and and a little bit into the Cleveland Indians as well. And my second one, it's probably gonna be I'll say Coach Carter, because I like Samuel L. Jackson in that one. And my third one is gonna be, I used to watch it as a kid, Varsity Blues. Fucking tan.
Well, that's just one that makes me feel old now because we always do this. That came out when I was in high school. You're saying when I was a little kid, I used to watch it. Yeah, my. Oh, did you know that Major League was shot in Milwaukee County Stadium instead of in Cleveland?
Yes, I did. That was pretty awesome.
So I'm going to start off by saying there's one movie that's untouchable. It's not just it elevates itself above sports movies, so I'm not counting it in my list of sports movies. It's the only movie men are allowed to cry at. It's called Brian's Song, about Gale Sayers and Brian Piccolo and their relationship.
The remake or the original?
I like them both. Just whatever flavor you're in. If you're in for a little Billy D or not, And so that movie just elevates itself above being a sports movie. So I'm not putting that in my top here. So my number one is
Field of Dreams.
The Program with again James Caan, who was Brian Piccolo.
There's a theme here.
Yeah, and so that's the story of a coach trying to get his team winning again so he doesn't lose his job, and it deals with steroids and
rape
and
attempt rape,
steroid rape, and guys losing their futures due to injuries, and deals with people who aren't ready for the spotlight, and deals with the way college programs are run, and whether or not the athlete should be focused on academics. It's all this, heavy stuff, and a lot of it is shows up in my number 3. But first, I'll do my number 2, which is Rudy. How can you not put Rudy on your list? I don't know how you cannot do that.
Well, I'm just trying to keep it modern for maybe our younger viewers, if we have any viewers.
Rudy.
Oh, by the way, when they're in the stands in Rudy, do you know that the original Rudy is sitting behind them? They're showing his family up in the stands.
I probably knew that somewhere in my brain.
Somewhere in here.
Yeah. Just like,
walnut-sized brain.
His best friend directed Iron Man.
Oh.
And so then my number 3 is called Blue Chips, starring Nick Nolte and Shaq.
It actually looks like a really good movie. You actually showed me the trailer.
He's never seen it. That one came out when I was a kid. And that again deals with the money in college sports. And it's a basketball one, so it fits in with the whole bracketology sports stuff. To be honest, we are sports guys, but I'm not a basketball guy.
Me neither. I'm mostly into football.
Yeah, I'll watch NFL Network 24/7, but the last time I believe I went to a basketball game was more than 10 years ago. And I was telling this story earlier in the day when I was doing a radio show. I had to read the sports scores, and I'm reading the NBA scores, and I'm like, get to Oklahoma Thunder, and I just stopped on it because I'm live on the radio reading the sports scores, and I'm like, I didn't know Oklahoma City had a basketball team. Oh, well, yeah, and then I had to work my way out of it because, luckily there was nobody. I was alone in the studio, so there's nobody making fun of me or anything.
Right.
You can't hear what the viewers are thinking.
Oh, so. You should not know that Oklahoma had a sports shit.
Yeah.
All right, and so now that we talked about for your sports movies, John, go ahead and say to your, maybe the one person that's watching us right now, the most unappreciated movies that you watch that you think other people should watch.
Yeah, these are movies that I watched them, and I don't see how they aren't famous. The first one I'm going to talk about is Buying the Cow, starring Jerry O'Connell and Ryan Reynolds. And it came out the year after Ryan Reynolds hit big with Van Wilder.
Right.
And it's about, it has Mike Epps in it too, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That guy's in, whatever, go ahead.
And it's about these friends who are, they have one friend who's married already and who doesn't hang out with them at all anymore because he's married. So then one of them is breaking up with his girlfriend. One of them just wants to be a player, and that's Ryan Reynolds. And then, so there's this crazy stuff with Jerry O'Connell is tracking down this girl that he met when he was a teenager. And it turns out that, like, he was on vacation. He was at an airport and he met her. And it turns out that she was like 13 and he didn't know it. And he's sending her love letters and stuff, how she should run away with him and all this stuff. And then he's trying to track her down and then the whole consequences of that. And then I showed you the scene with
it's Spider-Man.
Ryan Reynolds. He has a problem in the bedroom, or he thinks he has a problem that he has to get away from in the bedroom. I won't say what in case you watch a movie yourself, and I don't want to ruin that joke for you. But he has to escape, so he climbs out the window and he's naked, and climbs down the side of a building, and this little kid sees him. This little kid thinks that he looks like Spider-Man. He says, "Yeah, I am Spider-Man. I need your shirt." And so the kid starts taking off his shirt in front of the naked Ryan Reynolds, who's just trying to cover himself up. And then the kid's dad comes out, and he's like, "What are you doing?
You sick son of a bitch."
And he goes back in and comes out with a shotgun. And then the kid wraps himself around Ryan Reynolds. "No, Spidey's my special friend. Don't hurt him." And then the cops show up, and there's a chase scene with an old Asian guy watching porn while his wife is asleep. It's just it's a wackadoodle of a movie.
It's a wackadoodle.
And if you can find it, just take a look at it.
Right.
Another movie that anybody who loves bad movies and parody movies should watch is called Black Dynamite, starring a guy that I think should be a lot more prominent in Hollywood, Michael Jai White, who played Spawn in the movie, and he was also one of the gangsters that dealt with the Joker in The Dark Knight. I think he might be the guy that gets his eye smashed in. I don't remember. Anyway, so yeah, it's just a hilarious. It's a spoof on a blaxploitation, and like when there's a flashback to when he's a kid, and they're calling him Young Black Dynamite.
Young Black Dynamite.
And then there's just so many great actors that you don't see too much of in it, and the classic boom mic in the shot and just bad acting. There's one character who, when he's saying his lines, he's also saying the stage direction. So he's like, he acts startled. What are you doing here? So that's just one. If you love spoofs, you got to see it. And a third one is a more recent one. I just found it on Netflix. You can watch it on Netflix Instant right now. It's called Automata, and it stars Antonio Banderas,
a.k.a. Puss in Boots.
Yeah, and it's a lot like the Will Smith movie I Am Robot.
Yep.
Except it's good.
Except it's good.
It explores robots becoming sentient, and explores what we would do about it and how we would handle that situation, and when do you know it's real, and all this kind of stuff. And it had under a $10 million budget. But
Wow.
you saw did that look like it was under $10 million for the budget?
Hell no. Looked really, really good.
They got good production for their money, and it was entertaining. It wasn't one of those movies that dragged on at any point that I can recall. So you should check that out. Also, while you're on Netflix, if you're into filmmaking, there's a documentary on John Milius. It's just called Milius, and he's the guy who directed the original Red Dawn, and he directed the original Conan movie, and he came up with Lucas and Spielberg and all of them, and he helped write some of their stuff too. And this documentary just goes and talks about how because he was less liberal than some of the other guys, and he was a gun nut, and he was just nuts in general, a lot of people didn't want to deal with him, so he never became as famous as those other guys that he worked with. But he still created a lot of content that people love.
Right.
And then it also deals with he ended up having a stroke later in life and stuff like that. But it's a good documentary if you're into film documentaries about famous filmmakers and stuff.
Cool. Okay, and the last thing that you and I have been wanting to talk about lately is all the Batman movies. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because the new 52 Batman, which is being written by Scott Snyder, is taking a break, and they said that this new issue of Batman is going to be featuring a all-new Batman. And so, in honor of that, and I guess a little bit of Ben Affleck becoming Batman, in the first Batman movie with Michael Keaton in it, he was Batman to me, and all the rest of them was a little, and the rest of them up into the Christopher Nolan one, they're all a little too theatrical for me, and probably because the first Michael Keaton Batman was a platform of doing a superhero movie, and so I don't know if it was, and I know Tim Burton had a lot to do with it, so they're like, let's just make it theatrical and cartoonish type of thing. And I know you have a whole different opinion on the Christopher Nolan Batmans, which I absolutely love. The only thing that I don't like about the Christopher Nolan Batmans is the way Christian Bale decided to have that and so that's just what I think. I love the Christopher Nolan ones, but I'm gonna give credit where credit's due. Michael Keaton is Batman to me.
Well, that's why I loved in Batman Begins when he says, "I'm Batman." It sounds like
right.
That. Batman Begins is actually my favorite out of all the ones so far. because it took itself seriously.
Right.
And The Dark Knight would be just as good, except for the whole middle of the movie kind of falls apart for me when they pretend that Jim Gordon's dead, but Batman doesn't know, but somehow he does know, and that whole... And then Jim Gordon saves Batman when Batman didn't know he was going to be saved. But that whole part of the movie just kind of took me out of it, and I had to get back into it again.
Right.
Now, The Dark Knight Rises. Oh my God, that's horrible.
That's the name. That's the name of my penis, by the way.
Like I just said, the Bane Batman getting his back broken. That's my favorite Batman storyline ever, and I was so excited when I heard they were doing it. But oh my God.
That's what she said.
You just waste an entire movie with Bane's stupid plot, and then you have Batman. Oh, I'm in retirement now. Okay. Oh, but I'm needed.
So weird to me.
I'm needed now, so I'll put on this robotic leg that I'll never use for any good purpose other than walking, and I'll go fight Bane once. Oh, look, he broke my back. Ow. Now I'm not Batman again.
And then there's no reference to that robotic leg anymore.
Yeah. You can't, you should just kick Bane and, like, broke his nuts in half. and then you got the cops going in the sewers because they think Bane's there, and so they send every single cop. And then it's just... What is Bane's ultimate plan? I mean, he's going to blow up the city, and he's right there. And so is Talia. So they're both going to die. So, and Ra's al Ghul is dead. So what's the League of Shadows going to do then after it's destroyed one city?
Right.
They had plans to conquer the entire world.
Yep.
But they're going to all die in this one city with a nuclear bomb. And because of that, she had to sleep with him. And then the day that the stock market is hacked and Bruce Wayne loses all his money and the SEC is just like, oh, that must be real. So you're broke instantly, Mr. Wayne. Never mind that not all of your money is going to be in stocks. And then he's like broke that night. They turn off his power. It's like, no, that's not how the world works. You're trying to be realistic. And then, oh, I'm Batman again, but I'm going to kill myself. But I didn't kill myself. Oh, my God. And then the tag on the end. Oh, but my real name's Robin.
That's supposed to be his middle name. His middle name is Robin.
Yeah, but no.
But I like that.
No, that is horrible and schlocky.
But you gotta admit, though, the way they portrayed Bane was way better than in the George Clooney version. You gotta admit. You gotta give me that.
No, I won't give you that. And we're stopping there because we're running short on time. I just want to say the only good thing to come of that third Batman movie was that it got my niece into Batman finally.
Yeah, that's always good.
So,
all right.
We'll end on that note.
See you later.